haven't quite got to the bottom of it. Screenwave and I have been working to resolve it. It tends to happen when the mic gets a little loose, which is why I avoid touching it whenever possible. Once it's up there, it usually stays up there. The wires run all across the ceiling and into the camera. So that's a lot of stuff I prefer not to move. Now let's talk about the lights. What is this? Some kind of anti-gravity experiment? It's a pretty funny way to get the tripod off the floor, but it does the trick. The lights are LED. They don't get hot, which is nice. They can dim and change color temperature too. But even at their dimmest settings, they're a little too bright, which is why I put wax paper over them. I have several lights all over the side of the room because I want to get the most even lighting possible. I can't bring them too close because you get reflection in my glasses. I found spacing them apart works better. Also, little trick, I have a pair of glasses with no lenses in them. That helps with the glare, but that only works when I don't have to read. Also, my camera, lights, and everything are plugged into 2 power strips. So when I come into the room and go to work, all I gotta do is flick 1, 2, and everything comes on. I'm set to go. The purpose of all this is to shoot episodes as quickly as possible. Now, sometimes that can't be done. For example, the Vegas episode was a lot of extra work, and there's always going to be something like that. But for a basic episode, this simple setup greatly improves my workflow. Otherwise, I would have to set up the camera, frame the shot, set the focus, set up the lights, set up the microphone, and check and adjust everything. By having it all set up beforehand, it saves me a lot of time. Now, the only little problem is that I'm locked into this position. Whenever I need a different angle of the room, let's say if the nerd is over at the NES shelf or something, that means everything has to move. The microphone, I have to take this wire down, and then the lights, you can imagine how much of a pain these are. The camera has to go on a tripod, so that means the teleprompter needs to be disassembled. The wire that plugs into the power has to come out, then I usually have to switch the battery, and then, oh shit, I forgot to charge it. Anywhere I want to look, there's so much crap to move out of the way, and that's all very time consuming. And that's nothing unusual. It's very common on a movie set that most of the time is spent setting up shots, and very little of the time is spent actually filming. But when I'm short on time and trying to be as quick, as convenient, and efficient as possible, I just stick to the couch shot. I'll set up a different angle when there's a good reason and if it's worth the price of time. I even bring in a second camera for some of the B-roll and close-up shots, but if the nerd is in the shot and has to be lit and mic'd, everything has to move. In a perfect world, I could take as long as possible, but lately we've been doing 2 episodes a month with contracted brand deals and deadlines, not to mention all the other videos I'm working on. So, when I'm behind schedule and in a rush, I have to stick to this single one-shot setup, or else the video won't get finished in time. Some people have felt the need to point out whenever there's a basic episode that's lacking the multiple camera angles. As if I'm not aware, I'm a guy who makes movies. I like different camera angles. If I had the choice, every episode would be as dynamic and cinematic as possible. In recent years, we've had some pretty interesting camera angles, like the underwater shot in Echo the Dolphin and the one continuous take in The Immortal. It can't be overlooked that we just put out the Vegas episode not too long ago. That was a monster and a miracle we pulled it off in a pandemic. It must have been over 100 hours. I just remember spending so much time writing the script and sneaking in every Hunter S. Thompson quote possible. And then it was tons of green screen, filming myself and Tony separate. And then I sent a rough edit to Screenwave, and they just did the rest of the post-production and effects. Shout out to Yoshi Boo. That episode was a giant project and put us behind schedule. The point is, I'm always going to want to do a big episode like that, and that's why we need these basic ones to get caught up again. Remember the Crazy Castle episode? That was epic. What came next? Super Pitfall. You need to balance it out. So you'll definitely see another crazy one when we get there again. Since the beginning, every episode is a product of circumstance. In 2006, there was a bunch of real basic episodes that we might be forgetting about, like McKids, Wally Bear, and Double Dragon 3. Those ones were so basic, they would hardly even be accepted as full episodes by the current standards I've set. Worth a reminder that I'm not only doing AVGN, I'm doing Monster Madness and tons of other videos. And a small fraction of my work hours are actually spent making videos. More of it is maintenance, business stuff, personal errands, anything random that comes up that you'd never see or know about. And sometimes personal is, well, it's what it is. It's personal. In the old days, I'm talking way back, I would sometimes have to spend up to 18 hours a day to get some of these bigger episodes done. That is no longer possible for me. As a natural fact of life, I have less time now than I did when I was in my 20s making these videos. Some people have asked me, why are you so busy? Most of the people who I've heard from are very nice and they mean well. But there's some who are just mystified or just can't fathom, like, why don't you have time anymore? Take a wild guess. What's the biggest thing that's different now? I have kids. I don't think I need to explain that. For anyone who doesn't understand what a big responsibility and time commitment that is, then ask someone who is a parent and they will tell you all about it. The kids are awesome, by the way. They're doing really great. Big thanks to my wife for helping keep this whole thing going. You want to talk about behind the scenes commitment? That's what that is. I must stress, I do not want to burn myself out working on these epic kind of videos all around the clock. I want to be there for the kids. That's my choice to balance my work and family life. Then COVID came along and made it harder to film with an in-person crew. If anyone wants to know why it's harder to film alone, here's one example. From the Shrek episode, I had to tie myself in a chair with an onion in my mouth. That would be a really funny thing to walk in on, wouldn't it? I'm going to try to tie myself all in one shot with the camera running and burning all this film, man. Oh, that reminds me, that's another thing I have to do is find a remote control for the GH5. I heard there's an app or something, so I need to look into that. But every day it's this long list of just things to look into or things to resolve. But that damn onion would not stay in my mouth. And anytime it would fall, well, I had to untie myself and start all over. Jesus Christ. Fuck. There goes the onion. Fucking shit. To start over. Boy, I wish I had a crew. Wish we didn't have COVID and all this fucking bullshit. God damn it. Alright. Fucking thing rolls. Balls. I'm trying to keep this laptop out of this frame. Since then, we've all been vaccinated and can be in person again finally. But we're now in catch-up mode, not just with videos, but with personal life. Most people, I think, get that, but some don't and underestimate the toll that COVID had. Everyone was affected differently. You have to respect that. Some people had more time, some people had less time. Some people might have been the same. Some people might have been out in the world more. Others might have been locked down at home. Some people haven't seen their families till now. All different situations for different people. So, to the people who don't get that, it's worth reminding